This is an open letter to uh, friends and family. Here's the thing, you know, it's understood that we love Uncle Sam. Everybody around the world loves Uncle Sam. It's just that from time to time, Uncle Sam's managers lash out, and it's apparently Uncle Sam's managers have to be lashing out somewhere, either East Asia, that colonial whip lands in East Asia, or the colonial whip lands on West Asia. Uncle Sam's managers have got this colonial whip, and unfortunately, the hand behind the whips are the British. These colonialist ideas are all British. That the upper echelon of pink skin society in North America has adopted. The upper echelon of the WASP, or the upper echelon of the pink skin society in North America and Europe, have, have adopted, the North America has adopted the Europeans' old concept of colonialism. That was the whiplash of the colonial whip on the back of Asia with the Korean and Vietnam and all of that situation. And this is a whip in Palestine. This is the whip of the colonial whip landing in West Asia. And colonial whip never really left Africa, just was handed over from, you know, uh, the, the ownership of the colonies was handed over from this side of Atlantic to that side of Atlantic. There was a ceremony in World War II. The colonial whip was handed to Uncle Sam's managers, and since the whole upper echelon of the Uncle Sam's managers are all, WASP, white, whatever WASP stands for. You see where I'm going with this? It's sort of like it's a colonial whip, and you can tell it's a whip because the thick end is in arms manufacturing plants. The thick end of the whip is in the arms manufacturing plants and money printing shops in London and New York. Those guys finance the whip, or the thick end of the whip, and the whip lands in West Asia over some misunderstanding about real estate. People, you and your real estate business. In the shit show that I was born in, we understand that all the space at the end you will need is about a 2 foot by 6 foot. So then after what happens to that real estate? Who cares? It's hopefully something good happens to the real estate that worked hard for, but at the end you receive only the 2 foot by 6 foot part whole. So it's a futile endeavor to begin with. Why so much hassle over a futile endeavor to begin with? Right now in this West Asia and East Asia and Africa, and that's where the thin end of the whip lands and breaks open flesh in West Asia, in East Asia, all over Africa, both figuratively and literally. The thin end of the whips of the Europeans, the Anglo-Saxons, the wasp, kept, keeps landing and breaking open flesh in Africa, in Asia, in West Asia, East Asia, hoping and praying maybe South Asia, something we can get going between China and India. India's on our side because it's got the same shit show. I'm sorry. The same shit show. Here's the thing. A beautiful thing that the Chinese, smart Chinese did, thank God for some smart people. They invited the heads of industries, the CEOs and the CFOs from the Western Hemisphere, specifically from North America. They invited the heads of these corporations and to have a real talk with the real guys behind the, dog and pony show. The real guys are these guys who are financing this, and just have a talk with them and ask them that, have you noticed the quality of the people you're financing to do your dog and pony show? Have you noticed the quality? And I guess, what they got was a lot of hung heads from the Western corporations, sort of like, yeah, this is what we do. We have to pay our share into this, into the circus. We have to pay our share uh, to this for this dog and pony show of what is called democracy at this point. And basically, the head of a state in which chooses intellectuals as its leaders, which should be the case, the head of that state is calling the guys who call the shots, who are the heads of corporations, to his land and says, dude, what the fuck are you doing? What are you financing? These guys who are ready to are very, not very high quality. None of them are intellectuals. Bernie Sanders can't qualify as one. Very few of them can qualify as intellectuals in the upper echelon of the Pink Skin Society in the West. None of them qualify as really people who know shit. There are people who know shit. It's just that they can never stand in front of, 50,000 people and shake their ass. They can never do that. They will never do that. It's like you're telling them to commit suicide if you ask them that, yes, we understand you're a very wise man, but we like you to come and shake. You're gonna kill me. Yes, we know you're all wise and great, but we like you to shake your ass for the 50,000. Go on stage and shake your money maker, whether it's your mouth or your ass or your antics or your dog and pony show. Put on a good dog and pony show. You're paying for this. This is what the guy did. The Chinese guy said, okay, folks, you are paying for this dog and pony show, and it's of low quality. Because those who really know shit, they will never submit to being a circus act. The guys rather commit suicide than be a circus act. The wise guys, the guys who actually know shit. So you will never get top of the line people for your political leaders in the democratic system. They have to be very, extroverts and very willing to shake their moneymaker on stage in order to have money rolling in. The more drama and sex involved, the better it is. It sells. The more drama it creates, then the more, you know, it's a better circus act and more money it attracts. And so the Chinese called the circus, brought over the owners of the circus, and told them, dude, these people you're bringing as your acts, they're getting quite heated up. We don't want to go to war with you. But these guys, in their acts, they make promises, they have beliefs that is very totalitarian. It's like our way or our way or your helicopter falls from the sky. Our way or you're dead. Which one do you want? Gangster. So, I mean, the Chinese called the big bosses of the gang because this is what they feel, that the corporations are the big real bosses of the gang, that the politicians are the, you know, the dog and pony show up front to bring them in. The real gangsters are corporations in the back. So the Chinese call the real gangsters the heads of the mobs and told them that, hey, dude, what are you doing? This people you're financing to become representatives are of not very high quality. None of them are intellectuals. They many of them are, not well read. So what's going on? Why don't you corporations in NATO countries, why aren't you, the corporations, backing those intelligent candidates? It's like you're telling us, as foreigners, we can't back any of the candidates. Okay, so our money is off the table. The only money that is on the table is the money of corporations, and high valued individuals. Corporations and high valued individuals are the ones who make the decisions about this dog and pony show, this circus. They make the decisions that which acts they like better. Therefore, they put their money behind it and good word behind it. So the Chinese calling these folks and saying, "Hey, you're backing. Have you noticed these folks you're backing are not well read? They're not learned. They're not really there. Many of them, do be it of old age or old beliefs or very young age and very young beliefs. They are a little nutty. So why are you backing these folks who are a little nutty? Why don't you back more well learned and more well read and more honest candidates?" So this was what the Chinese guy was telling the American corporations. He's saying, "Hey, please, unless you decide to, back some very well informed and very honest and unless you're willing to back those kind of candidates, we're going to have problem here. Because these gangsters are, in reality, the politicians would only go as far as the corporations want them to go. I mean, if corporations is imagine Northrop Grumman says, no, we're not going to produce that weapon in those quantities to be given to Israel. Imagine Northrop Grumman does that. Why not? Because the Northrop Grumman is the gangster who actually enjoys more war. More war over there, more money I make. I collect your taxes and give you weapons. The money you collected as taxes, or the money you're printing, I get, and I give you more weapons. So in reality, Northrop Grumman is the one who calls the shots because they make the bullet. They cannot make the bullet. As simple as that. Not provide maintenance, not provide bullets, the system shuts down. The killing system stops. And it has come to the point that some people, individual people have noticed what is human being, not corporations, not heads of corporations, but street level humans have heard through the grapevine that which ship is being loaded with the latest Northrop Grumman weapons, and it's headed for Israel. So the common people have gone and protested and prevented the ship from leaving port or even getting the weapons delivered, shipped, preventing it somehow. So this is, the boss head, the corporation, the Northrop Grumman who wants the war, and the politicians who have sold the war, the dog and pony show that has sold the war. Now these people, this Northrop Grumman has to fight the common man at street level to be able to continue to do his business. You see what I'm saying? It's you can do that, but not really. It doesn't end well. This idea that this gangster business that these large corporations have, this is ending the world. It's a planet kind of type of catastrophe will come of it, because corporations, the Chinese guy did the right thing, called the heads of corporations and say, hey, I know you own the circus, told the corporations, I know you own the circus and you pay for this dog and pony show. Are you really understanding what kind of dog and pony show you have? And don't you want to increase the quality of this dog and pony show that you have, that's called democracy? You're paying for this. This is your circus. You're paying for the acts. Why is the quality of the act so low? Then the problem is much deeper than that. The problem is, well, education. I mean, if education is neglected, informing people is neglected for a very long time, or continuously, if education of people is neglected, so the quality of acts can come down and nobody would notice. The dog and pony show of the circus that is democracy, this dog and pony show, the quality will come down if people are less educated. So corporations are the ones who have taken in the most wealth and try to give the least wealth back to the society in terms of producing educational institutions, well worth educational institutions from kindergarten and up. They haven't done that. They don't want to do that. That's the whole point. More for me, less for you. We corporations and we very wealthy individuals keep as much money as we can to ourselves. You do you. We got the money and you do you, whatever you want. Do you see the lopsided? Do you see that you run into a wall? And the wall is that The wall is that the wall of, less educated people. They care less. They are not very picky about the quality of the candidate, and about the quality of the dog and pony show. And then, you know people start comparing penis sizes on stage. I swear to my father's grave, my penis is 12 inch. Anyway, my point is the quality of the dog and pony show has come down. So less qualified people are become candidates and win seats. Less qualified people, much less qualified people. So, I mean, John McCain, sort of like he was the crash boy of Vietnam. He crashed 4, 5, 6 planes. A hothead, very determined to kill more people. And that he became a very successful senator. It's like, I don't think he was an intellectual. Do you? He wasn't an intellectual. He was, he was Mad Max in West Asia at the thin end of the colonial whip. And risked his life and probably was tortured because he was fighting at the sharp end of the colonial whip. He had done a lot of damage to the natives, so the natives wanted to do a lot of damage to him. All these, forget about what tag they put on for you about democracy and freedom and capitalism. Capitalism was the 80s thing, remember? 70s, 80s, it was all about capitalism. Believe me, in the 19th century, it was all about Christianity. There was always a reason. The people from Northern Hemisphere, my pink skin friends, there's always a reason for you guys to have your whip out and smack Asia and Africa and even Europe right now in Ukraine. The end of your colonial whip have to be working at all times. Why? I mean, you can concentrate on space. Go have the moon. You don't need Indochina. You don't need, just like you didn't need Kabul. Without you, Kabul is doing okay. At least, people are not expecting to get shot in the street. It's doing okay. Leave it alone. With you, it was doing okay. Without you, it was doing okay. Maybe a little better. Without you. This idea that I heard Mr. Eric Prince. I heard him say that, yeah, we should have had a contingency of, some of my boys could have formed a contingency of 6,000 to 60,000 contractors over there just having a footprint. Why? You think your footprint brings order? You think your footprint brings order? Is that why they put a sign next to grass and they say, for heaven's sakes, please walk on grass? Because walking on something brings more stability to it. Having your footprint in Afghanistan doesn't bring more stability to it. Your footprint right now is in Iraq, hasn't brought stability, it's instability. Because it's your footprint. It's not from the local flora and fauna. Whatever is not of the local flora and fauna will cause damage. It's like a footprint on grass. whatever that is not of the local flora and fauna will damage. So your version of order will always mean damage for them. What part of this is hard to understand? Don't walk on grass. Don't bring your boot on somebody else's grass pretending that your boots are going to be the cause of order. No, your boots are crushing the grass. It's your boots that are the cause of disorder. Salute. Folks, I think these corporations really have to think about it. But the problem with corporations is they don't think. Corporation is an animal. Outside of self-interest, corporations understand nothing. Outside of self-interest, corporations understand nothing because corporations are not people, Mr. Romney. Corporations are animals because corporations don't have a conscience. You know, the difference between the animal and the human, if there is any difference, is the difference between pure animal and some kind of conscience. Corporations are animals because if you have some kind of conscience, that would be go against your profit motive. So corporations are not humans. Corporations are animals, very deterministic in self-interest. Even if that self-interest will kill many people. Tobacco industry. It's a prime example, beautiful example. The corn syrup industry, a beautiful example. I've noticed that recently I've been drinking Coke and a few Cokes, just a few Cokes, and it has turned into a syrup. It's so sweet that it. I'm not sure how many grams of sugar are they're putting. It's much more than before. It has turned into a syrup. I can only fill like quarter of a cup, then put the rest of it water to just be able to drink it. It's syrup. So what I'm saying is the tobacco industry and the corn syrup industry and oil industry and all these folks, car industry. The car industry, they could have had electric cars, started something like electric cars right, as soon as the internal combustion cars came into being. Electric cars made a lot more sense right next. But no, maybe not. Oil industry is very powerful. That's the car industry. So corporations are animals, Mr. Romney. They're not people. They're only after self-interest, very vicious self-interest. They viciously go after self-interest. So they're animals. They don't have the right to vote. But Mr. Xi calls the heads of these corporations, which are animals, not the people, but the corporations that are animals. Mr. Xi is calling them in and saying, hey, this is your dog and pony show, this election business that your system of governance seems to be based on. This election business that your system seems to be based on, it's your responsibility that the quality of these candidates have gone down and they are saber rattling. They want war. They want freedom for these guys and freedom for those guys. I mean, here's the thing: can a guy just walk in your home and say, I think your daughter should be free? You know, your underage daughter or overage daughter, whatever. Just tell you that your daughter, overage, 20-year-old daughter, just somebody comes into your house and that tells you that your 20-year-old daughter should be free to come with him tonight. You say, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? You want to force? You're telling, you're grabbing a few people over here who want freedom. You know, the daughter might be a little crazy too, wanting a little more freedom. I know, I had a sister. Half the brain was missing. So yeah, she wants freedom to go and suck her boyfriend's dick from age 12. Would that freedom would be logical in general? I mean, it wouldn't be. So you don't give certain freedoms to people who cannot make logical choices. They make choices based on emotion. So Mr. Shi is wondering, you have this dog and pony show, you have these corporations we already covered, they're animals themselves, vicious animals only after self-interest. These animals own a circus that they call democracy, and in this circus, these animals finance a certain acts that serve their self-interest. Again, we are talking about corporation, which is a very self-interested animal with no conscience, one interest, profit. This animal owns a circus that's called democracy. She's telling them why you're bringing these acts, low quality acts, up in this circus, because these guys, you know, are talking nonsense. Why are you asking for war? And the corporations are sort of the guys who are actually paying for this. And I noticed that these heads of corporations were kind of looking at each other kind of confused. I really saw the clip a couple of times, and they were hearing she. They were sitting around this table, and he was talking, and they were listening. And he was talking, and they were listening, but they were kind of confused, as if like, so what is that to do with us? It's because it's an animal. The concept of general interest does not interest an animal. The corporation is an animal. Public interest or general interest is not one of the concern of animals. We don't associate animals with compassion. A few times I've noticed, I love people. A few times I've noticed that they very like people like with small clips that show compassion amongst animals. You know, when they have a clip, for some reason the mother cheetah still hasn't eaten the little small deer, the baby deer that was left behind, and the small deer is confused, and the leopard is licking his lips, sometimes is licking his neck, sometimes, and the baby deer is confused, thinks the cheetah is his mother, so he's not running anywhere either. Apparently he was just dropped. So the point is this, that we like to actually see compassion in animals. I'm sure the leopard eventually eats the fucking baby deer, but the clip is short, so you don't see the eating part. But you just love to see the compassion part. But folks, just like animals don't have compassion, don't look for compassion amongst animals. Just don't. Unless you're family. Animals smell you. If you're family, they may not eat you first. That's how much compassion animals have. But against the rest of, edible world, animals have no compassion. So corporation, which is an animal, is confused that the leader of China is telling him, folks, you want to bring some more compassion to the table? And the corporations are looking at each other because they have no compassion. It's a corporation, has one objective, the bottom line. Now, if we have to, sell cancer sticks and find a way to sell the cancer sticks to women as well, and then children, maybe, hopefully, it has no soul. It has no compassion because it's a corporation. It's an animal. The head of China is sitting there and explaining to the gentlemen of heads of corporations that why aren't you showing more compassion? Why aren't you understanding that you should back only intelligent candidates, well, compassionate candidates? You know, that's what they mean. That's what they mean when they invite these heads of corporation, but it's not going to go well. Corporations, because corporations, just like then, they look confused. Public good? No. We rather keep our money to ourselves than spend it on educating our public, because public interest is not something that a corporation, which is an animal, public interest is not something a corporation is interested in. It's just not part of the agenda. What do you mean general good? General good would be I sell my iPhones for $50 a piece. That would be general good. Why would the fuck would I want to do for general good? I'm sure iPhone costs Apple maybe $50 a pop, $100 a pop. Apple can sell it for $200 or $150 and still make money. But that would be general good. Is Apple interested in public good or general good? Everybody has to have a free. Everybody have an Apple for $200. No, Apple is not interested in that. Neither is Microsoft, neither is Shell, nor, you know, the cigarette makers, nor the oil producers. Certainly not arms manufacturers. They have no public interest in mind because they're animal. Corporation is an animal only after self-interest. Profits. There, in the agenda that every month they write that to follow, in that agenda there is higher production, there is higher uh, income, there is a fatter bottom line, but nowhere in there, in their agenda, is there public interest. There isn't. It's just not what they are. They're after self-interest. Whatever this self-interest, whatever cost be for this interest, this self-interest, whatever may be, may be. Whatever will be, will be. Are you serious? So we are beating the shit out of some natives because, you know, after so many years of we killing them, they killed a few of us. Now we have to just burn the shit down. We will burn down the whole neighborhood if you have to. We will ruin we did ruin half of the West Asia if we have to. We ruined Iraq, we ruined Syria, we ruined Lebanon, we ruined. The only one we didn't ruin was Saudi Arabia, which was under our right nuts, and all those small Arab Gulf states fit under our left nut. Beside these two, the Jordan is the main course. So Egypt is the boy, is the servant boy. So this is. Are you fucking kidding me? Beside these, the whole neighborhood has gone up in smoke. We brought them freedom and democracy. And at one point, actually, George Bush said also crusade, Christianity. There is a in his notes it has come out that in somewhere in a message on the phone he brings out crusades to convince Mr. Mr. Blair to join him in the fight in Iraq. Are you fucking kidding me? The British are always first through the door of colonialism. You don't have to send the British flowers to convince them to go colonializing with you. Just say hi and she's with you. The fucking British. So, folks, Mr. Xi did the right thing, but that was it's not going to work because corporations don't have conscience, don't have public well-being at heart because corporations are animals. So these herds of corporations, I'm sure they look confused, they were confused, and they're going to continue whatever the fuck they were doing before. They were going to continue the same because neither one wants to be left behind. And these corporations pay for both acts. Most of these large corporations pay the same amount to both Republican and Democratic Party. It's sort of, I understand Walmart is one of those corporations that pays equally to both sides, equally, every time. Hey, we pay our dues to continue the circus, and that's what she was saying, that okay, you pay your dues for the circus to continue, but have you noticed the quality of acts that have come down? These people are children, saber rattling and looking for a fight. Either children because of old age they have turned into children, or because of they're very young and they are still children in terms of information and intellect. In terms of information and intellect, these in terms of information and intellect, most of these candidates who end up to become one or the other becomes representative. They're these folks, the corporations have decided that yeah, he listens to me, therefore I pay for his campaign because he listens to my problems. My problems is I want more for me and less for them. And whichever politician that says yes, you're right, John Bolton, yes, you're right, more for you and less for them, fuck them. If you're like that, you're a winner. As far as corporations are concerned, you're a true great guy. More for me and fuck them. Fuck them. So corporations and corporations and uh, are the problem. They should not be in charge. Corporations, being animals that they are in charge. In reality, they are in charge of democracy. Paying for the Circus Act is paid by corporations. And corporations are very only interested in self. So of course the circus is going to get bad. They say democracy. Yes, democracy is salvageable, but you can't let animals run democracy. You can't you can't let corporations which are animals. You can't let them control your elections. Democracy is maybe salvageable, maybe possible, but as long as you don't let animals run it. In terms of being, again, this is not a, it's not. I'm not looking for an insult to corporations. Please, I'd like to live a few more days, but you know, fuck. Did FBI investigate those people who were whistleblowers for Boeing? Did and they died suddenly one after the other of suicide or whatever, or no cause was determined? Did FBI investigate any of those? This was clearly a hitman job, paid for obviously by whichever corporation that is going to benefit from shutting these motherfuckers up. Boeing would benefit if those motherfuckers drop dead. So if they drop dead, it would be a good idea to investigate if somebody has paid for these people to drop dead. Oh, it was Boeing? Okay, maybe we have to chop up Boeing. It seems Boeing is determining who can live and who should die. Therefore, maybe it's time to dismantle Boeing. Period. Instant competition. Dismantle these large corporations to create instant competition. A small piece, the smaller piece it is, the better it is. Dismantle the oil corporations. Make them very small, and then eventually, being small, they start into renewable energy right away. Dismantle these giants. These giant animals are running the circus, ruining the circus. That is democracy. It can work. It can have good acts. The circus can have good acts. People can be educated to be sophisticated enough to expect good acts, and intelligent people and mature people. But that only happens if animals are not in charge of circus. Corporations are not in charge of circus. Corporations or very wealthy individuals are not in charge of corporations. Sheldon Adelson, he owned a corporation. The corporation donated all the money that he was making. He is making money from the people, then spending that money to manipulate the said people through politics by backing one candidate or another. It's a corporation. It's a tit for tat for a corporation. The corporation has profit in mind. If I spend this money, I spend it because I want to see results in my bottom line in terms of profits. Period. Why would you allow a corporation, which is an animal, any corporation, why would you allow Boeing to donate to political candidates or parties or anybody? Why would you allow people to spend as much money as they want for their favorite candidate? No. It's an animal. You have Mr. Romney, again I repeat, corporation is a fucking animal. It's not a human. Corporations are not people too, they're animals. People have a conscience, a soul, a public interest in mind. People have public interest or general interest or others' interest in mind. Humans are like that. They're social animals. They have other people's interest in mind. They're not animals. But animals have nobody's interest in mind but their own. Maybe family. Again, that's up to a certain point, then they may start eating the family. The point is this. That's what she was showing you. That's a problem. The people who are running the show are corporations, and corporations are animals. Don't let animals run your show. You got the humans playing, putting up acts for a bunch of self-interested animals, such as Amazon and Walmart and Mars and Raytheon and Boeing and Goldman Sachs. Are you serious? BlackRock has become the unofficial channel to the Treasury. Basically, they put money in the computers, and BlackRock has become the unofficial channel of Treasury into the stock market. Corporations are only after self-interest. I don't think it's a good idea. Neither did she. Nor does any sane person believes that, you know, animals such as corporations should not be in charge of humans. Period. Entities which have consideration for public good should be in charge, not animals that are corporations. You fix that, pretty much the system may fix itself. Break up corporations and no advertisement necessary. None of these corporations are allowed to spend a penny on any candidate of their choice because they're animals, they're not humans. No very wealthy individual should be allowed to, you know, donate, just pass laws, donate more than a certain amount, a very modest amount, as much as a common man can donate. A maximum donation for everybody. And no, you cannot advertise on behalf of your favorite candidate. That's bullshit. Doesn't matter how many, under how many chapters of law you hide it, it's still bullshit. No, it's just stop. No money, no circus. Candidates have a platform, they come on their platform, and it should not be this. There's no shake your money maker business should be necessary. But they can come and talk in front with each other, not once or twice as debate, all the time, every night. Sit down and talk every night from a year before election. Sit in front of each other and talk in one channel or all 100 channel. Talk as much as you want. No gimmicks, no ad making, and no attack ads and forward ads and defensive ads and offensive ads. And what the fuck is this? That means corporations have to be eliminated from participating in elections because they're animals. First step. Very wealthy individuals also should be limited, and no ad making business. Ad making business in terms of candidates should be frowned upon as cheap, as vulgar. We don't do ads, we have opinions, and we sit down and have a conversation with our opponents around the table about our differing opinions 7 days a week. 2 debates? Really? 7 days a week. We sit down, we talk for 3 hours. And people listen. That's a candidate. And it's free. And no, you can't sell your Budweiser between our conversation. Because then I owe you, Budweiser, a hand job. No, I as a politician would owe Budweiser a hand job because they put an advertisement in between my debate, so they had to fill my pocket for some of the profit that came out of selling all those beer. Are you fucking kidding me? Corporations, wealthy individual, nope. Normal, we sit down, we talk, we debate until we get tired, brother. And then we get up and go and have a drink. And we debate tomorrow night as well. It's like in the wrestling, and they go for one match and then they go for the second match, the second debate, and wrestling. You're selling wrestling. Intellectual conversation doesn't take a special time, doesn't happen in a special time. It can happen every night. An intellectual conversation. It has to happen every night, free of charge. But you don't want that. People who become politicians don't want that. They like the ass shaking. They don't like the talky part. Haven't you noticed? They don't like the talky. They like the shaky. That's the quality of your candidates. Less talky, more shaky. Top-notch quality. Salute.